Hello everybody, welcome to another live about ZBrush and jewelry. My name is Nacho Riesco and we will be here during the next 2 hours sculpting this organic jewelry design with ZBrush. So welcome. I'm gonna check everything is working fine because I did something wrong with my restream. Maybe. Okay, looks like the comments are working. Hey Fexter, how you doing? Welcome, as usual. Welcome, my friend. Glad that you are here. Yeah, Christmas gift. Yeah, you're right. This is going to be the last live of the year. So next year I will be here streaming again, but for this year, 2023, is going to be the last one. You are right, and greetings. Okay, let's see, everything is working. Hey, could you tell me that the music is too loud or it's good enough? Just in my side, maybe it's a bit too loud. Just let me know, because I'm just looking for a soft background noise. Hey, Nikix 90, welcome, welcome. You have been waiting for this, so thanks again for that. Thank you very much. I hope it will be interesting for you, and we can go ahead. So today I'm going to keep working on this design again. For everybody who doesn't know yet what is this is a very famous Lalique piece. Lalique was a very well-known Art Nouveau designer, jewelry designer, and I have started 2 streamings ago trying to make a replica or trying to make something as more similar as possible from this necklace. This is a very huge piece, a very well-known and famous piece, as I said before, and this is what we get so far. I was working on the head on the previous streaming. Today I'm going to try to complete the whole head with the gaps for the enamel, with the gold nerves and the different spaces or the different gaps necessary for the enamel, for the coloring. And I already have the body blocked. This is what I did on my first streaming about this design, but today I'm going to work on the head first. So as usual, just a little bit loud. Okay, a little bit loud. Maybe, yes, I'm thinking the same. Let's put it lower. Let me know how is it going now. Maybe it is not as loud as before. Okay, so this is what I did on my previous stream. So I started, if any of you are interested on, I think everybody of you already know where to find the previous streamings. But if you go to YouTube, for example, to the Maxon ZBrush channel, you go to the live section, you start scrolling down, and here somewhere, this is the streaming before this streaming, where I started working on the head. From the sphere, I started blocking the different shapes of the head, sculpting directly using dynamics. So trying to replicate as more as possible the different planes and the complexity of the head. And in this 2 streamings ago, I started, let me find it, here it is. I started blocking the bodies. I was explaining to you the different studies I was making about the design, and I started sending out the measurements. And I started with spheres, like you can see here, just starting blocking the bodies of the different snakes. So till getting, so once we have the body, I was organizing the surfaces into different, splitting the surfaces into different polygroups for being able to apply different drawings of different textures that the original design has, as this kind of arcs or this kind of scale pattern here. And today I hope we will have some time to start working on this pattern, or maybe in another pattern, or trying to explain to you, or I still need to think about it, but maybe we can start today to start working on the bodies, to start applying the different texture, or at least to try to apply one of the textures. For example, I think for me the simpler one could be the snake pattern with the belly pattern. This just stripes on the belly here, horizontal stripes. Maybe the more complex one are going to be this kind of arcs or rainbows that the snakes have on this part of the body, and this kind of honeycomb ceiling that has here in the interior of the design. So let's see how far we can go today with this design. I will try to put an eye on your comments or questions, suggestions. So Feel free to send me questions, ask me questions about what I'm doing, about ZBrush. I will be here paying as more attention as possible to you, to all of you. So please, Nadir, welcome. You are asking if I can show how to make in Roberto Coin Venetian princess style. Roberto Coin Venetian princess style. Let me try to make a quick search on Google. You were saying this? I think you are not referring to this, right? This kind of Roberto Coin Venetian. The shape of clover. Could you, I don't know if you can attach any link to, or to try to know what are you referring to? Shape of clover, because you're talking about this? I'm talking about this design? Are you talking about this shape? Yes. Oh, and the question that you have is how to making the shape of the flower of this. Oh, this is if we can wait, let me download this. Come on. And if I'm gonna put this here. Let me put this here, this thing, and let's just texture, import. I'm gonna use the image I just downloaded. This one, texture, this and this. Just for be sure, confirm please if you are asking about this. And the question that you have is how to create the shape. Yes. Could you confirm me please if this is the thing that you want to learn how to make it? This kind of shape? Yes. Yes, maybe, yes, hope. Maybe you are saying yes. For example, we can, for this, you can start, for example, from a plane. Let's make a polymesh. And one of the brushes that I commonly use very often is the topology brush, is this brush. If I turn on my symmetry, so I'm working on the X symmetry, left and right. So you can start painting the topology. So you can start painting the petal itself. You can start painting something similar like this, something similar like this, and like that, like this. So from this point, you're gonna start crossing lines, and you are gonna start creating topology like this. So maybe it's gonna be necessary to paint this from here to here, and from here to here. No, from here to here. No, from here to here. Let me make us brush size a little bit smaller, something like this. Let me paint a little bit more precise, something like this, like this. So when you're happy with what you paint, you can you can tap on any part of the surface and you will get roughly more or less the shape of one of the petals, right? So you can split mass points. So at this point, you're gonna start giving some measurements to this piece, because before we just were drawing or creating the shape. So now if you go to the Z plugin, Scale Master, now it currently is 1.1 by 1.2 by 0.04 millimeters. Of course, it is very tiny. If we are talking about this, maybe we can say this one of the petal has 10 millimeters, around 10 millimeters, more or less, could be. We can change the size if we typing here 10, resize subtool. Now we are working with a piece of 10mm wide from left to right. Of course, at this point it's going to be necessary to know exactly the measurements, but I am just figuring out which the measurements are. And now from this point it's just a matter of start playing with the shape. Here I did something wrong. Okay, we can change the topology. Maybe I paint if we create a new series measure. Maybe I did something crossing line here. Something strange I did was my fault here. Okay, here you can see here something. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select this face. I'm going to get rid of these two polygons. Maybe we can delete hidden. And now with the C modeler, we can go to delete, single poly. Okay, they are gone. And now we can start refining the shape. Like this, with the symmetry, of course. I forgot to turn on the symmetry. So with the symmetry on, will be easier. We are working with symmetry, so we can start creating something like this, something similar, something like this. So once you have this, you can make an extrusion. You can create the extrusion with the C modeler. Make a QMask to all polygons to start applying thickness. Just in case, you, of course, at this point, you should know how thick the thing is. I'm not working with any thicknesses. Now you have the necessary shape. And now at this point, you can start working with array mask. So to make this, the clover, the distribution. So you can go now to array mask, turn on array mask, lock the position of the petal and reset the petal point. Now you should go to rotate and try to find the necessary axis. In this case, it's not this one. It's not this one. It's going to be the Z axis, the Y axis, right? No, the Z axis. So we are going to rotate it 360 degrees. And of course, we should put it on position. We are looking forward to create a repetition of 4. And now you're going to start working with the right pattern. You can say the problem that I'm having here, this point doesn't match the original design, but the good thing about working with array mask is we are just working with one petal and we are rendering and we are repeating what we are doing in one mesh to the others, but we are not working yet with real geometry. We can try fix this. So at any point we can change one and everything will be updated to the rest, to the others. Something like this, something like this. And that's it. I think it's more or less something like this, right? And then from this point, you should convert this into a regular, making the mesh. What I normally do is I make a duplicate, just save the original array mesh as a backup, just in case if I need to come back and start again because I did something wrong or something is not good enough for the client. I just try to keep a copy of the original. So now we can convert this into a mesh, make mesh. And now at this point, we can now start subdividing the mesh till getting. So you are having this kind of problem because when you start subdividing the mesh, you're having this. The best thing to avoid this is to working more with a cleaner, to do a cleaner way of working. So we can group by normals, increase the polygroups. So now you're going to start subdividing. Here the problem, here this should be the same polygroup as this one. This one should be the same polygroup. Oops. So when you are start subdividing the mesh, everything becomes but different than this. I can create a new polygroup here without the symmetry. Create polygroups, and now you are having something similar. I only updated one of the petals, so right, so that's the reason why we are still watching the others with this angle here. But this is the process. Create a base mesh and use the array mesh process to start arraying the design here. Okay. Let me know if your question has been answered or not. Tell me it anyway. I can hide this one, hide, delete hidden. Where from my geometry. Let's come back to the delete header, delete hidden, and now turn on array mesh again. Lock position reset. Repeating same operation as before. Copy of 4, and now we can. Okay. How about row? What do you mean a row? What do you mean with the row? I don't know what you mean with a row. What do you mean with a row? A rope. Oh, okay, a rope. Yeah, the rope you have the, well, that I'm gonna show you, for example. Okay, it is clear what is the process about. Start repeating to make this the whole globe. Okay, so now let's divide one time. At this point, doesn't matter how ugly that your topology is. If you are worried about the topology, you can create a series measure. For example, you can go to series measure, because most of the time I'm not worried about topology, but let's try to make things well. So let's stay at the same amount, keep it the groups. I don't want to smooth the groups. I want to keep the size of the polygons as more quads as possible. So you have something more regular, right? So about the rope, I have some, you're gonna be able to find this brush somewhere. Here I have my folder of brushes. Most of the brushes, some of the brushes I made them by myself, and others I found it on internet, and I found this somewhere, I don't know where. On, let's see if it has some credits, this rope brush. When you can creating ropes, right? Like this. And once you have your own, the same brush of, you can create your own brush or your own custom brush, or you find somewhere something similar. The next step that you should do is, once you have the shape, for example, let me make this thicker. We are having a rope on top, we are having another rope at the bottom, right? So we should isolate this face and this face. So Ctrl Shift, click here, invert, and click here. So we are having, let me turn this double, we are having the two necessary faces visible. So now you should go to the stroke, curve functions, and turning off polygroups, and turning off crease edges, and just leaving the border option, frame the mesh. So now we have a curve applied to the border. So once you have any curve brush, you can click here and you will have the rope on the border like this. It is not applying the same rope at both sides, but no, it's not a big issue, because you can put this size maybe a little bit thicker like this. You can split mask points. Let me remove the one that is wrong. I delete hidden, and now you can just make it maybe a little bit bigger, just a little bit. You check it with the transparency, you can see more or less the edges almost in the middle, and this is good enough. Maybe we can inflate it because it's a little bit thicker like this. And now you can create a copy of this. Also, you want to be sure that it is exactly in the middle, you can use the mirror as well on the Z-axis, and you will send it exactly to the other side. And now at this point is repeating the same things as before. Go into array mesh, start arraying the mesh for having 4 different copies of the each petal, and that's it. Okay. So to review what I did is to using polygroups, frame the mesh with a curve brush of any rope, of any other kind of brush, because for example, you are looking for more something like this, isolating only this face, coming back again to stroke, border. For example, using the default IMM primitives with an sphere, if you go to stroke and turn on the curve mode, you can start applying this kind of what do you call this in jewelry? I forgot the name now. This is mill grain. With you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, whatever you want. So it is a way to frame a mesh very easily. So the rule number 1 is to start working with polygroups, then go to stroke, curve functions, frame the mesh based on border, polygroups, or creased edges, and using any curve brush, you can frame any mesh with this method. Now, thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. Cool. Thank you very much. Glad I have answered your doubts, or I have been helpful for you. So let's go back to the head. Okay, let's go back to the head. Let's remove this. And let's grab again the references. Where are they? Here. So I made some progress in my spare time, in my free time, because I think we left the head on the previous streaming this way. You can see I was working with Dynamesh, just being worried about polishing the surfaces, creating the sharp edges with the pinch brush, with the different brushes, polishing, sculpting, till having the necessary shape. Then from this point, I made a bunch of different polygroups. So how I did this, you can see this is still a Dynamesh, because for me, as I said before, the topology is not very important, because all the stuff that I do is focused on 3D printing. So most of the time, I'm not worried about making a good topology for animation or for video games or whatever. So I'm just worried about the shapes and the forms. So I started painting, grabbing this piece, and I'm going to show you maybe something useful for you, so you can start painting the mask. But I'm going to recommend you settings that which will make your life easier if you are using the mask. I recommend you to set up the focal shift to -100. So you will get a much more defined mask. And now I have here a button and a graphic here. If you go to brush, to the brush menu, brush, and you go to depth, and you can see here this button and this graphic, right? So you turn on the depth, and you start playing with these small black dots like this. You can see if you release your finger from the control key, you are using the default sculpting brush. So, but every time you start pressing the control key, you are using the different settings that you made for the mask. So now at this point, it's going to be much more easier, because you can see if you're painting freely with the freehand, ZBrush will recognize this change of how to say this is the corner or the edge, or I think mainly it's not the corner itself, is the change of plane. So we are having 2 different planes like this. We're painting the mask in this side, but we don't want to paint the mask in this side. So with this setting, ZBrush will be able to avoid or to create a much more precise mask. You can see the differences here. Let me create an example stroke here. If you are using, for example, we're gonna put it a little bit tinier, like this, with these settings and without these settings. What we are trying, you can see you are start painting on the unwanted surface. So, but with these settings, it's gonna be very easy to start refining the mask for the different portions of the mask. Oops, like this. Always painting in the border, like this. And now this is you should go one by one, of course, but then at the end it's gonna be important enough. So now you can go to start filling this, or you start using a new feature. This is not the one feature that which comes with the latest version. Maybe the version before the latest version. I think I'm not sure, because you go to masking and max region. No, in this case it doesn't. Max vision, max vision, max vision. No, in this I don't know why it doesn't work this case. Maybe it is open. Okay, so you're gonna start filling it manually if you want. So now once you have the mask, you can Control W, and now you're gonna start creating different polygroups till getting this, right? So I will continue painting some of the polygroups which are not, maybe this one. Here we have a kind of circle in the middle, because the polygroups are going to be very important for the process. So it's going to be necessary to spend as necessary time as needed, because many times we are looking for automaticals ways of working, but in some cases the best way for getting a good finishing it's make things manually or with a more traditional way. So let's Control W. Here we have another polygroup here. Hey, welcome Raul from India, very far away from me. I'm in Spain. So let's keep painting some mist. Maybe let's try to find a good picture of the head. This one maybe. Yeah, I'm going to Control Shift and tap here, and looks like it is having two different polygroups like this. Right, we'll try to keep them separated. Control W, and now I have let's see, goes from here, right? Goes more or less from here, goes here, and an arc. We're having an arc. Maybe it's a little bit more here, something like this. Here we need another polygroup, there, and we need, maybe we can use let's put this, we can use the mask perfect circle, because we need to have something like this. Control W, we're having here another polygroup. Let's let's make it more things. No, I did something wrong before. Oh no, no. No, I think it's gonna be okay. So maybe then I need this mask. Should mask this portion, right? Yes. And with a perfect circle again, this will be, I need a kind of a square portion like this. Yes. Let me check, because not all of the heads are the same. So maybe it's not going to be necessary to be very, very precise. But yeah, maybe we are going in the right way. Yes. Maybe we can isolate again this portion. Again like this, and with this one again. Control W. Let's see. We can be precise enough. Painting this. Control W. Here we have another. And here goes something like this. This is a very challenging design. It's very intricate with a lot of details. Okay, something like this, and oof. I think it is not 100% accurate, but try to improvise something like this. It's gonna be almost the same. As I mentioned at the beginning of the streaming, this could be the first design that I don't make with from the manufacturing point of view. I am just creating this for rendering purposes. I'm not thinking about manufacturing this design. So when I'm designing this, when I'm sculpting this piece, I'm not 100% thinking about a printable thing in terms of thicknesses, millimeters or distances, and so on. More or less to try to make something as more similar as possible, because of course I'm not going to cast it. So I'm just looking forward to create something beautiful enough or similar enough from the original, just for creating a good render and for learning things. So that's the reason why I'm not worried about creating very accurate shapes and forms about as I said before, thicknesses or distances or weight, as I am currently doing on my other streamings. Because when we are creating jewelry, we should be thinking always about measurements, thicknesses, weight, how big is something, how small is something, what is the distance between this point and this another point. So we should be worried about that stuff all the time. So now what I'm going to do is start cleaning the different borders or the different frontiers of the different polygroups with this brush, smooth groups. So we will start smoothing. That's the reason why the polygroup looks clean, because I was using this brush. This is a very handy brush when you are working with polygroups. So it's like this. And let's working on the eye. If we isolate this and let's paint, which is the border of the eye, this we should paint. I'm working now a bit quickly. It's just for don't be here making the same thing, trying to make as more different things as possible, just for you to find the life as more interesting as possible, to don't be here repeating and repeating the same thing all over and over. So excuse me if I'm going off. I am at some point I'm more concentrated about what I'm doing. I'm not talking with you or reading your comments. Just give me some seconds, because we should go, this one should go something here, right? And this one goes here. Right? I think I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, because I am, yeah, this is what I need to create. Invert the mask, and now I can't, because I'm looking for creating two different polygroups, the eyelid, the upper part and the lower part, and I need two different polygroups. Something like this, right? Something like this. No, but I don't need this. Let me think. I need two different polygroups. Okay. It's gonna be necessary to remove this portion, because I'm looking for the borders between different polygroups. I'm not painting now the gold wires or the gold section, so I think it's gonna be necessary to paint something like this. Yes, I think like this it's okay. It's gonna be okay. Something like this. Let me clean a little bit more this. So now here we have another polygroup, Control W, and now working with this polygroup, it's gonna be, this one is going to be very easy, because if I grab, for example, this, and I have something like this, I have the other polygroup. No, I was changing my mind, because I think it's going to be necessary to. It's going to be necessary. I'm not very sure about what is going to happen here on the eye. Let's see if I close this, make a polygroup here on top. We will not get this another. Okay, let's clean the mind. Let's try to read your questions first, because I'm not sure what I'm doing. I just had, okay. Jetse Hoste, welcome. You have a question, okay? Is there a way of trimming with symmetry? Because I'm working with sci-fi panels, and I would save a lot of time. Is this possible? Yeah, sure. When you are talking about trimming, you are talking about cutting, right? You are talking about cutting things. For example, let me save this first. This is going to be the head number 2. Okay. When we are talking about trimming, if, for example, if we grab an sphere, make a polymass frame, let's make it smaller. you have the clip curve where you can use the Control Shift to start making things like this, where you are just is like you are clipping the mesh, or like you are hitting the mesh, and you are squeezing the mesh with a straight line. But you are looking for clipping, maybe you should use this brush, a knife curve brush with symmetry. This is, you are referring to this thing. You can start clipping things in symmetry with this new brush. It comes maybe 2 versions ago or 3 versions ago. Maybe in the 2021 version, maybe the knife curve brush. This one. Control Shift, and you will find it here. So the best thing about this brush is that at the same time you are cutting the mesh, you are creating different polygroups. So see, you are making sci-fi starships or vehicles or whatever. So it's going to be very interesting having different polygroups, because at any time you can go to ZBrush. You are looking for example, the same amount of polygon. You want to keep the polygroups, of course. I recommend you to turn on the smooth groups to 0, because you don't want to apply any polishing to the surface. You will want to keep them as more similar as they are now. So if 1/3 option that I recommend to you is to start playing with adaptive size, is where you can tell to ZBrush if you are looking for ZBrush can adapt the shape of the polygons, or you are looking for as more regular quads as possible. So you can see by default is at the middle, but if you push it at its minimum at 0, you will get this. You have one polygroup here because the color is almost the same. So at this point you will start having a lot of hard surface with clipping surfaces. And the good thing about working with polygroup, for example, when you start sculpting, when, for example, you start moving the mesh, for example, and you break it, now is not even, because for any reason you were, for example, sculpting the surface, and you can see you have this kind of issue that it start looking more organical and not so mechanical as before. You can start using the brush that I was using before, the smooth groups brush. You can start smoothing smoothing the surfaces. ZBrush will recognize that we are having 2 different polygroups, and you will retake or redefine again the edge between the 2 polygroups. And this is going to be very handy for you, I think. Let me know if your question has been answered, or have you got still some doubts about what I said. Estrés. Hola, Nacho. I'm going to talk in Spanish now. Hola, Nacho. Un placer. Estoy respecto a retopología. ¿En qué momento crees que es necesario aplicarla? Saludos desde Argentina. Hola, Estrés, o como te llames, bienvenido. Te contesto en español. Una pregunta. ¿En qué momento crees que es necesario aplicar la retopología? Es muy complicado dar una respuesta general, porque depende de lo que estés haciendo, te va a ser necesario aplicarla en un momento o en otro. Cuando estás esculpiendo, solamente estás preocupado en lo que estás haciendo, y quizás no es importante la topología, porque solamente estás creando una forma. Pero en algún momento, cuando vas a querer que las superficies sean más limpias y vas a querer, por ejemplo, hacer unos Vs, en ese momento va a ser necesario hacer la retopología. Es que es muy complicado dar una respuesta genérica, dependería del ejemplo que necesites. Karim, indeed. Yeah, but Jetse, this is what you are looking for? To start cutting things? No necesariamente al final, puedes aplicarla durante el proceso. Ten en cuenta que cuando estás esculpiendo, ZBrush te da la posibilidad de, cuando estás esculpiendo, tú partes con una topología en concreto, ¿vale? Entonces, esa topología tú la empiezas a deformar, a esculpir. Entonces, llega un momento en que la topología se deforma, no se destruye, sino que la deformas. Entonces, la superficie no se vuelve tan amable para esculpir. Entonces, en ese momento tienes que hacer una topología. Un ZBrush, un Sculpting Pro, un Dynamics, lo que hagas. Y en ese momento, seguir trabajando. Llegas hasta otro momento parecido en el que has vuelto a deformarlo todo y ahí vuelves a hacer otra retopología. Entonces la vas utilizando más sobre la marcha más que al final. Yes, it's answering my question, yes, but it just doesn't want to work for me for some reason. Because maybe it's not working for you, Jitsi. We are talking about again about the clipping or trimming, because you should pay attention, because I was using the knife curve, because if you are using the scissor or the trim curve, for example this one, you are using symmetry. Okay, you can see I'm still using symmetry, because when I'm trimming one side, the same thing is not happening in the other side. So that's the reason why I'm using the scissors, not the knife. You should use the knife to work with symmetry. And you are asking what's the best way to find a good quality place to get your work casted and polish it. Oh, that's difficult to answer questions. Well, there are many. You're talking about jewelry, right? When you are talking about casted, I suppose that you are thinking about casting your designs in silver or gold or whatever. Well, I think it's a matter of try different suppliers, because based from my experience, you can find huge differences between different workshops on different ways of working, doing the same thing. It's gonna be just try different suppliers, because most of the time it's hard to find a good place where they have a good casting and a good polishing, or a good, for example, the stone setting or whatever. So yeah, you have already tried different places. So I'm guessing that I know you know what I'm talking about. When we are talking about jewelry, sometimes it's quite difficult to find the right people to work with. Oh yeah, that's working wonderfully. It was on trim instead of, yeah. You were using the trim brush instead of the knife, because I think I was thinking about before the knife curves brushes were introduced maybe 2 versions ago in 2021. We are currently using the 2024 version, because maybe the knife brushes comes with the 2021 or maybe 2022 version. You're welcome. Kushu, how you can make Evangelion things when robots? You are talking about Evangelion robots or mechas? Mechas? Hold on. Oh, this could be something like an Evangelion head, neck. You can use the same process that I'm using with this design. So you can start sculpting your forms, having this, just creating your different planes. Then you can start creating a new topology, or then for example, you can start painting different polygroups. There are different ways to achieve this. But this example, this exercise that I'm using now, you can apply the same process to a mecha or to a robot. So you can, the idea is to start organical when you are sculpting with clay, when you are sculpting organical forms. When I'm saying organical, with soft form, without sharp edges, without sharp corner, but you are just looking for the main shapes, the personality of the robot, of the thing that you are doing. So once you are happy with the forms, with the shape, with the shapes and the composition, next step to take is what I'm doing now, is start creating different polygroups, to start separating different panels, the different planes between different polygroups, to start creating sharp corners between two different polygroups. It's the same kind of exercise that I'm creating now. I'm gonna Control W. Maybe here I forgot to think. at any point if you forgot to turn on your symmetry and you already did your work that I did, now I have one side is okay and the other side is not the same. You can mirror well, but in the right axis, of course, and maybe I'm working on the z-axis. So you will send one side to the other side, so ZBrush will merge both together, having 100% symmetrical object again. So yeah, I think we are good enough. Okay, it's not finish it. Let me polish this. Let's polish this. And we have here some forms here in the job. Here, for example, in this part, it's going to be necessary to make something. You can turn on your lazy mouse if you want to get the more precise strokes. Like this, something like this, and something like this. And we need two different polygroups. Maybe I can create one polygroup. This, where I am here. I need to paint this, the whole thing here. Something like this. Like this. Maybe this one goes a little bit higher. Like this. Yeah. Maybe this thinner here. But I forgot to turn on the symmetry again. Come on. Control C. Okay. So now we have split this into different polygroups, and now this should be split into one polygroup here. Control W, turn on the symmetry, and another polygroup here. Like this, Control W, another polygon. Let's change the color. Okay, let's. I think everything is done almost. Let me check more angles of the heads. Maybe here we are having another polygroup. We can split this into, no, another polygroup here, or something like this. And more like this. Control W, here we have. Tip that I can give you, you are looking for to polish all the board. Okay, let me fix one thing first, because I'm having here a tiny polygroup in the middle. This is not going to be a good idea for having this. This one should be split into different polygroups. I'm sorry, I will say what I was about to say now. Okay, let me. It's going to be necessary to change. This is one polygroup. We have here two different polygroups, and now we can group you and you into one. Okay, I was saying before, I was about to say before, because you need to polish instead of being polishing following all of the borders. So what you can do is, let me check first one thing. Okay, it's okay. You can do is go into masking, use the groups, So you will get a mask applied to the border of each polygroup, grow the mask, invert the mask, and now you can apply a polishing like this, and everything now is polished at the same time. Okay, let me save this before read your comments again. This is the head number 2. Okay. Do you have your own store, or do you? I work as freelance work most of the time. I just create custom or freelance commission. I don't sell any jewelry design by myself. Who my clients are finding me? So I think we can say through the social media. So posting my work on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Behance, as many places as possible. Most of the time saying I am Nacho Riesco, I'm working for jewelry, for the jewelry industry. I make custom jewelry designs, organic jewelry design with ZBrush, posting works. And if anyone is interested, we'll contact you. I think today's whole things are working because we can work globally. We can reach many places around the world. So I'm not focused. I mean that I'm not just focused on my local market. So I'm working for many people around the globe, for many different countries. Forgot to turn on my symmetry again. Many different countries. Most of the time, I can say that 80% of the work that I am doing is focused on organic jewelry design or custom jewelry design. For example, creating reliefs. Exists a huge market for people looking for people who are able to sculpt reliefs for coins, medals, furniture, and many other applications. So it's just the use of ZBrush for the 3D printing industry, or for the, how we can say it, no, the 3D printing industry, for any industry which needs a product printed or manufactured with a 3D printer, with a CNC machine, with many different manufacturing methods. But ZBrush, it's able to create stuff for all of them. Doesn't matter if we are talking about jewelry, we are talking about toys, or we are talking about a chair. Okay, let's stay here. Okay, let's stay here and let's start taking more steps for start creating more progress. Okay, I'm gonna show you save. And the answer is post your job on the internet. And I can give you an advice, or I recommend you to don't be posting. Try to don't mix your personal stuff with your professional stuff. For example, if you are posting picture about your holidays, create your account about yourself, and then create another account about your professional work, where you're going to be posting about what you are doing professionally. So try to don't mix both things together. So and try to reach the average people. I mean, for example, if you are creating jewelry, try to find groups specialized in jewelry. When we are talking about Facebook, for example, or LinkedIn, post your job about jewelry in the right place. Or for example, when you are posting on Instagram, try to use the right hashtags to try to find the right people, or the people who are going to be interested on your job. So don't be posting without any reason. It's just try to stay focusing on the industry. And I think if your work is good enough or interesting enough, I think people will contact you and will start asking to you about start creating jobs, or start creating freelance commission, or whatever you are doing. Okay, I think it's gonna be enough. like this. And I think I'm gonna group this. I'm gonna create another group of this. This is going to be a one group. Like this. Oops, here I have another problem. You should be one polygroup. Let me see, because here I have a tiny polygroup island here. Okay, it comes with this. You're having this issue here. You can do, for example, where you can do a quick the mask, Control W. So now it's a matter of taping the right vertex. Control W, and now it's okay. Let's try to check if everything is good enough. Okay, we can go to the next process, to the next step. For the next process, we are gonna start creating the necessary gaps for the enamel. If you're not familiar with jewelry, when I'm talking about gaps for the enamel, so let me put trying to match the same perspective as the picture, something similar like this. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. So this is, you can hear, this is the kind of wires that we have here. This is a gold wire which frames all of the different colors. That means that we are having here a gap. So it's something like this. Where this is the gold thing, the gold part that we are watching this, for example, in this example. And here between this one and this one, this is going to be the second one. This is going to be, this is the first one, and this is the second one. That means that here we have the number one, and here we have the number two. And between both, we are having here a gap here. This portion, it's a gap. So, which will be covered with liquid enamel. So it's like, and we have a lot of gaps here, a lot of with very intricate shapes and forms, and it's going to be necessary to start creating these gaps or these cavities necessary to put the enamel inside. And this is the normal process of the enamel is when we are talking about jewelry design. So at this point, it's what I'm about to do now is to start creating the gaps. These gaps necessary for its color. So we are having dark blue, light blue, black, and all the necessary edges or wires between each color. It's going to be simple and complex at the same time. So, but polygroups is going to be the key again. It's going to be the key again. But yeah. Okay, let me see if I have. Okay, everything. Okay, so let's drink water first. Okay, so how to do this? I'm gonna create this with the method of light boolean. So working with light booleans, I'm gonna need a negative mask. I'm gonna subtract the negative mask from the surface to start creating the necessary gap. And how can we do those necessary negative meshes? So we have different polygroups. I'm going to use a feature that I was using before. Go into masking, masks by feature, in this case groups. I'm going to create a mask based of the different polygroups. You can see now what I have here. But now the border is too thin. So Next step to take is we're going to start growing the mask, grow the mask, grow the mask, clicking many times as necessary, more times as necessary, and to start focusing the mask, sharpening the mask, growing the mask, sharpening the mask. If I need to know now how thick is this, if I zoom in this, more or less as an average measurement, we can use the transpose line for top to bottom. Here I'm using 0.0. I think this is not at a scale, right? So let me see. This is, no, this is the head is 2 millimeter point. This is not already in a scale. Then I should make it bigger before. Maybe we are talking about this could be, let me see one thing. If I go to the process here, and here somewhere I have this, and this is let's come back to the C plugin. This is around 21 millimeter tall, top to bottom. If I open the grid that I did on my first streaming, is this one? No, it's not this one. Maybe, let's see. Draw, open, see grid. Oh yeah, it's this one. And then go to draw, fill mode to 0. So this is what I'm having. So if I try to take a measurement from the nose till the neck, more or less, this software is telling to me that the head is about around 30 millimeters. If I take a second measurement from this one, for example, from the nose to the neck, yeah, around 28 millimeter, 0.2, maybe we can say, yeah, 28 millimeter. 28 millimeter. Let's try to take a third. From this point to this point, this is not a good option. Maybe this one. To try to take an average measurement. Yeah, 30 millimeters is this one. From this point to this point. Yeah, I think 30 millimeters, it's a good option. Okay, let's say at 29 millimeters. If we come back to the head, this is the head with the necessary polygroups. We go now to the scale master again. Where am I here? Civilian. It is the current, the actual measurements are 2.2 by 2 millimeter, but so I'm saying that we are looking for this axis. It's going to be the y axis. No, this is the x axis. We said before this should be 29 millimeter. Okay, of course it's going to be necessary to keep this activated, because if we change one of the axes, we will update the other, and we need to change the size of all of the subtools. So now let's give a new measurement. So ZBrush will go one by one, and now I am having a head of 29 millimeter. Okay, now we are working with real scale object. Let's repeat the same as before. Mask by groups. Start growing the mask, sharpening the mask. Let's click 2 more times, sharpening the mask. We need to know how thick is this. From top to bottom, here I'm having 0.4, almost half of a millimeter. I think it's going to be necessary to make it thicker. Grow mask, sharpening the mask. And now here we're having 0.5, 2 millimeter. Let's grow mask 2 times, sharpen the mask again. This is just for try to make it as more realistic as possible. Now I'm having here 0.6 millimeter, much more realistic. As you can see, compare this thickness with the original design. Maybe it's too thick. because the original is very delicate, is very thin, the border between, because we should be thinking about the real object that it could be modified by hand carving on the surface. So as I said before, I'm thinking about creating a rendering object, not a physical object for being manufactured. So maybe it's not necessary to be so realistic as working with real measurements. Maybe we should be something more like this. It's going to be closer, or more similar. So start sharpening the mask, sharpening many times, sharpen as more as possible as necessary. And now invert the mask, and we're going to extract the mesh. As easy as this. Extract. Let's try with 0.0.2, the default value, and click on extract. If we are working with a lot of polygons, it's around 1 million. There are not too many, but will takes a bit of time, but I think it's going to be okay. Accept. This is what we get. Clean the mask. I like to apply some polishing to start polishing the edges. Polish by feature with the open circle. Small touches. And this is what we get. And now if we change from positive to negative and using the light boolean option, you can see we are going to start getting the different gaps. Maybe I think it's going to be big enough. I think here we are having a problem here on the border. Maybe it's not going to be necessary to be so thick. So let's delete this one. Let's come back this. Now instead of 0.01, let's try 0.01. Extract. An extraction a bit thinner than before. Accept. Remove the mask. And clean the mask. Clean the border like this. Let's turn this on. I think like this works better than before. And it's gonna be enough. Okay. I think the eyes, the teeth should be here. The eyes should be here. And the tongue as well. The tongue should be underneath the negative or below the negative. So this is what I have. If, for example, just to see the effect, if let's colorize this with a blue tone. With blue, let's RGB fill object. This is what we are getting. For the eyes, it's going to be necessary to create a frame around the eyes. This is the thing that I was thinking about before. But before doing the final Boolean operation, it's time to start fixing things or to start checking if everything is working properly. For example, we can grab this, this brush. I'm using the negative mesh. We can start fixing things if we want, but I think it's good enough as it is, I think. But for example, we are looking for more pointy finishings like this one. Maybe we can turn on the topological and the IQ curve, and then we can start fixing things like this. But again, I think it's going to be good enough, I think. Let's see. I think it's going to be I think the mouth, interior of the mouth is not going to be necessary. I'm gonna isolate this. Okay, I prefer to use now at this point the classic transpose like this, right? Yeah, it's more like this. Okay, I need to get rid of this portion. So hide, delete hidden, and now I have it. Yeah, like this is good enough, and it's good enough for having a good render. Okay, now it's time to start creating the enamel, or the necessary piece for being rendered as an enamel for the colors, because this is going to be the gold part, the metallic part. And for that, let's say first. And now, for example, we can create a new folder, add pieces. And I'm not going to create a final boolean with the eyes or with these options. And now create a boolean of this. Give me a boolean mesh. Click on boolean folder. ZBrush will create the boolean operation of the subtools which are inside of this is the final mesh. This is going to be the metallic part, right? Metallic part. I think we are gonna put this in a second. I'm gonna rename this. This is going to be rename the folder. This is the enamel. And this is going to be a new folder. This is the final head, for example. And I need to create one more thing. Turning this on, turning this off. And instead of the negative symbol or icon, I'm going to use this one. Right? And I'm going to create a new boolean. Make boolean folder. Let's wait. There you go. So we have the enamel. And if we put this inside here, and now you can see here what I have. Let's change the materials, because we're gonna be able to see better the differences between the different parts. Maybe let's try this gold. No, this is too reflective. This is one of custom material I made. We can fill it with material color, mRGB, fill object. And this, we're gonna keep working the same. You can see here what we had. We are having the borders between the different elements. And now it's time to start. For example, I'm gonna fill this same material of this. Fill object, and fill object with this. I think it's going to be necessary to create the frame of the eyes first. What we can do, we can use this option, create a new extraction here. It's something. Let's paint manually with the mask pen. Like this, nothing like this. Everything with not like this. Go in here. Like this, filling this. Let's go further. Okay, something like this, something like this. And now extract. Extract again with the same thickness. Accept. Whoop, I forgot to make the other one. I think I was making over and over the same mistake with the mirror. Well, no. Okay. So now we can use this. Let's put it here inside of this folder. And this is going to be metal as well. I think this should be this one and fill it. And fill object. And okay, so this is the head. Is very similar thing. What do you think? Do you like it? I'm gonna create one group here and maybe closer to the eye, not so thick. Let's start polishing. Okay, it's good enough. And now it's time to start painting different colors. For that, we should use this subtool. Let's save this first. And now we have many different, we're gonna say auto groups to apply different polygroups to each island. And as it is symmetrical, gonna mirror and well for having same colors at both sides. And for example, let's try to find the dark blue ones. It's gonna be this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. In the jaw, or light blue, maybe this one. No, I'm gonna leave it. Let's select dark blue, like this, for example. RGB. Maybe we can use, I'm gonna use this shiny material fill object. Having this, okay. The black one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one's this, and this, and this, and this. On the top of this one, auto save time, this one, okay, like this. This is going to be black fill object, and then the light blue, light blue ones, this one, this one, and this one. Fill object. Okay, so we have the snake head. Okay, I like to apply let's apply some noise to try to don't make it so perfect. So just for this is my personal preferences. Maybe the light blue is not so, it's not so, it's more closer to this one, not so bright. Okay, So let's go to mask to surface, noise. We can, I don't want to apply any color, some strength to the noise, make it bigger, not so like this. Okay, more like this, just for breaking. So don't make it the bright so perfect and so artificial. I think maybe we're gonna apply. Oops, we're having here a problem here. Something is working fine on one side, but not on the other. This is symmetrical. Maybe the head is not symmetrical. No, the problem wasn't the symmetry. Now it's fixed. Now we can apply the same noise. Not to the tongue, maybe here to the head. Noise. I don't want to use any color. I don't want to use any color. That's more strength. Scale. Strength. Let's make it bigger. Not so hard like this. Okay, perfect. We already have the head. Now let's save this one as the head final. Okay, no more comments, no more questions. Everybody is quiet. Okay, I hope it's a good signal or you are not getting bored. Okay, Redshift has a very cool goal. I don't know if this one is going to work properly. Yeah, looks nice with this one. Maybe with this one, but maybe material modifiers, maybe the base not so orange. Like this. Fill object. With a bit of noise as before. With a small touch of noise. This. Same with the eyes. Same with this piece. Same with this piece. Okay, so we are having. You are not bored. Thank you very much for coming, Ivan. Thank you very much. Because when you are streaming, when you're making live, sometimes it's very odd when you are talking and you don't know if anyone is listening to you or what the people are thinking about what you are doing. Sometimes it's very weird. Just here making things alone, talking without anybody. And I really appreciate that you leave a comment. Okay, this is the head we made today, the final head. So let's save this. Let's start thinking about the body. We have 30 minutes yet till reaching the end. So let's where am I? This one. So let's start working on the body. Just let's start making some testing about because as I said at the beginning of the streaming, I'm not 100% sure about which are going to be the techniques that I'm going to use for creating the different finishings on the bodies. Being honest, I haven't got any idea at this moment, but let's start with the thing that I think is gonna be more easier. I think let's start creating this pattern, right? So if we, for example, we're talking about this section. right? Let's make a test here, and let's make a test here. Because at this point, maybe it's gonna be necessary to tweak a little bit more the bodies, because maybe they are not thick enough. Maybe, I'm not sure. Like this. But maybe it could be interesting if we start talking about how to create this kind of tailable pattern with the same technique as before, creating the gaps for the enamel. In this case, it looks like it is not enamel. It looks like a kind of, I don't know, iridescent enamel or paint. I don't know what is this material. Okay, my cat wants to. My cat wants to say hello to the people here. You can see here he wants to. It's not the time to be here. And let's say, for example, let's try to create this. Let me think. Oh, I can do this. So I'm going to start with a cube. Make a polymesh frame. Let's zoom in. Let's put this here. So what I'm about to do, or when I'm about to try to do, I'm gonna start creating this piece. So it will be something like this, right? To start tiling, to start getting the necessary tileable thing of this pattern. So why do I start with a cube? Because I'm gonna start working with low polygon modeling. If I go to initialize and make a cube with a better resolution, maybe 4x4, like this, cube. Let's select this face, delete hidden. I'm only creating this, and then with the symmetry, I think, in my opinion, I don't know, maybe in some cases it works, in other cases it doesn't, but I think it could work. We start with from a cube. I'm start thinking that it is not the right option. No, it is not the right option. I think maybe I'm going to start, instead from a cube, let's start from a cylinder. Better. Cylinder, frame, make a polymesh. Let's make it this. Let's rotate it a little bit. Let's mirror well. Not this side. For having a more pointy here. And what we can do now is, doesn't matter how thick or how thin is this at this point. Maybe we can make a more curvature like this. No, like this. Yeah, more or less. So, yeah, something like this. And then I'm going to duplicate. I'm gonna move it to the here. And this should be thicker. Turn on the negative. Okay, but needs to be closer to the middle. If I now mirror well, I will get this. Could work, but I think it's not long enough, but I think it's not going to be a big issue because we can fix it after. Maybe a little bit more to the left. Yeah, maybe something like this. Now it's better. Okay, let's try how this thing works. So let's make the Boolean mesh. We have the result here. somewhere. I don't know where. Oh, here. And okay. Let's groups by normals, grease, polygroups. Let's subdivide it one more time. Now we have the one piece. So now it's just about to start repeating things. Without this. To start making the tileable thing, right? Let's see if it works or not with this piece. I think it's not gonna work because I think this thing should be a little bit higher. Like this. Let's see now with this, make a polymesh again. A boolean, okay, several warnings. I don't care about the warnings, so this one, so groups by normal, crease, groups by normal, crease, and groups by normals. Okay, let's save this. I'm gonna save this piece as a scale. Yes. For have this tool ready for being able to play more. Are you sure, Fexter? Are you astonished about my work? I don't think so. I don't think so. Hey, Jose Manuel, how you doing? Good friend. How things are going in Valencia? Have you got a lot of students of this course? Okay, so we already have this piece. And the way that I have to start creating tileable alphas or tileable textures, I use this external plugin that I love. It's the Nanotile texture plugin. So I'm gonna change this value from 6 to 4. If what I'm gonna create a tileable tool, new tool. Okay, I'm gonna put this here. I'm gonna turn the wireframe. Let's zoom out a little bit here. So I need to insert a nanomesh to all polygons. What nanomesh? Which nanomesh? This one. And now it's time to start playing with the nanomesh settings. Oh, Valencia de Mexico. Eduardo Hozón Clay from Mexico. Bienvenido, amigo. Bienvenido. Arturo, bienvenido también. Arturo, welcome. From Mexico, wow. I was talking about the nanomesh. Okay, so now it's time to start rotating. This should be 0. I don't want to rotate it into this axis, not this axis. Y axis, okay. 90 degrees here. Oh, 90 degrees. X rotation. And the Y rotation, no, the Z rotation, yeah, another 90 degrees. No, minus 90 degrees. Okay, this is what everything is in place. Now it's time to start creating this kind of checkered odd or X distribution tileable thing. So next step to take is change the horizontal tile from 1 to 2, vertical tile from 1 to 2, and change the kind of pattern instead of grid, checkered odd. And now to start playing with the size. And this is what we are getting. Looks like we did something wrong with the original piece, because maybe the first thing is this should be longer, not with the height. So it should be longer. So be something more like this. And we should grab these corners and put them in place. Let's see if we can edit in the mesh. Let's quick the project. So edit the mesh frame. Yeah, we are gonna be able to change the symmetry, and maybe we are gonna be able to make it more. Let's apply some polishing. By hand. Get something more like this. Okay, let's edit the mess. Let's finish. Maybe we need to edit the mess again. Something is just for make things fast. I think I did the original mess, the master mess, or the original mess wrong, I think. I think no, and because this should be something like this. Okay, if I edit the mess now, if I make it thicker, and I make it shorter, and now I change this. Now I am getting closer. Polish. Okay, like this looks better. Maybe now the 8 should be, but when I try to make it longer, everything doesn't work. Maybe it should be something like this. Like this works good enough for a scale pattern, but it's not the same scale pattern that we are looking for. Maybe we should make the opposite. Like this. Something like this, and maybe you need to get thing. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm doing something wrong, but I'm not sure what I'm doing. Okay. Hola Alejandro, ¿qué tal? Bienvenido. What can you do in 2021 version? Are you talking about this plugin, or about the things I was doing before? Yeah, I think I wasn't using any specific 2024 2023 tools. Maybe you can do the same thing with the 2022 version, I think. And for example, the plugin that I'm using now, it's a very old plugin, I think, which comes from the 4R8 version, maybe 4 years ago. So when you won't have any problem, you are thinking about to use this plugin. This is not a 2023 or 2024. Yeah, this is a plugin. But now I'm not sure where you can get it. Let me make a quick searching. You go to Google and nanomess, nanotile texture plugin ZBrush. is it here? Categories, and tile. Check that on the ZBrush Central. So the page doesn't exist. I think it could be a problem with this plugin. I don't know where you can get it. Or here. Oh, here you can get this plugin here. This is for this. You can see the released version is from the 2015. It is a very quite old plugin. But here, this is an official. It's not an official plugin, but it is still working for the newer version, the newest versions. This one. I love this plugin. This is perfect for creating tileable texture. So I will copy and paste it for you on the chat. For anyone is if interested on using. I have been using this plugin for many things. I was using this in my other previous lives when I need to create a tileable thing, a tileable texture for scales. I was using this plugin. You can find a lot of explanation, a lot of examples about how to use this plugin on some of my previous streamings. Let's create. Being honest, I only click on one button. I don't care about the other stuff about the plugin because I'm just focused about creating tileable alphas. I don't use this plugin for create tileable maps for texturing but I'm just creating the high map or the alpha image and that's it. So I don't care about the other buttons. The only buttons that I touch, it's change from 6 to 4, the grid plane, and for example here to restore the canvas size, and that's it. Transform. So I think we have something grown from the original, from the beginning. Let's see. I'm gonna go to the original one, to this one, because the first thing that I'm gonna do is change the topology, group by normals, increase polygroups. I'm gonna subdivide them a little bit more. Let's change. Wow, I did this very bad. So one polygroup here. Smooth the groups. Increase, smooth groups. Okay. Now, first thing is send it to the center. I'm gonna turn on the grid, turn on all of the grid axis. Let's go to draw. Let's elevation to 0 to know which is the center, what is the center, which is the center. So grid size, let's make it bigger. Let's put it here in the middle. And now let's gonna something like this. Okay, let's I don't want to use this one, delete. Let's duplicate and go into deformation. Let's offset to the right 100%, and offset to the top 100%, like this. And now we can mirror well. And now we can start reading the negative. Let's see if with this will works better. So make a Boolean mesh. More warnings. Okay. Is this one? No. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is. The reason this I have a zone coplanar. This one needs to be higher. So now make a poly mesh now. I make a boolean mesh now. Okay, you are you. No, you. Let's rename scale. And now let's try it again. So let's come back to the plugin again. We have 10 minutes to do again for create tailable tool. Escape, zoom, turn on a mass, all polygons, the scale, this, no, scale, it's not this one, no, it's this one. Let's try to repeat the same thing. Oh yeah, more questions. What version of ZBrush are you using? The actual with, yeah, this is the 2024 latest version. 2024. It was released some weeks ago. NikeX90 is asking a question about the curve tube snap brush. Is it possible to somehow make curves smoother after creating them with this brush? And is there a way to restore their uniform thickness if I use inflate? But want to reboot? Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. I will try to complete this quickly. I will answer you after. So let's go to NanoMesh. Let's try to make a quick test. If I don't haven't got success, let's leave it for the next streaming. So let's rotation 90 degrees. Let's rotation minus 90 degrees. Let's change to 2. Let's change to 2. Grid. Check it out. Let's make it bigger. There you go. Now it works. Now it works. Length. No. The length. No. The height. But it works, but with this option. Okay. It worked, but I need to change the shape because if I change the shape, you can see it works like this. This is what I'm looking for. It has the perfect fitting. But if I try to make them longer, doesn't work. Let's try a quick editing here. For example, no, it doesn't work because the curves are not parallel anymore. So I need to come back again to the original, modify it, and play it again. But at this point, maybe if I make it bigger, no, it doesn't work. Maybe we can try to make things no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay, let's I need to be fighting a little bit more. But this is the first time that I tried to do this kind of pattern, right? Not this kind of plugin, of course, but I think to being for as more accurate as possible. Sorry. Let's come back to we didn't have success with this. Okay, I'm gonna try to answer your question, NikeX. And you're asking about, is it possible to somehow make curves smoother and after creating them with ZBrush? Yes. For example, let's grab a regular sphere as usual. Make a polymesh. For example, I prefer, let's try to create a kind of ornament, right? I recommend you, instead of go directly with the curve tube snap, as you was referring to. So for example, if I turn on my symmetry, you can start painting the curve. So right, so instead of go ahead directly with this brush, I recommend you to take an extra step. Start with this brush, see remaster guides, this brush. With this brush, you are going to be you are only able to just paint curves, because you can say you start painting curves and nothing happens. You are not adding any geometry, for example. So you can start creating your ornament like this. Let's make it bigger, like this. For example, like this. But before release, let's create a new branch here. For example, another branch here. So before for example, convert the curve, or before apply a mesh to the curve, you can use the number 6 from your keyboard, and you can see what happens. You're gonna start relaxing your curve. So for example, you have made some imperfections to the curve. For example, I'm gonna repeat it. Your curve is not very perfect, so you can start hitting the number 6. So the curve is going to be more and more relaxed and more accurate. As many times as you press the number 6, more tension will be applied to your curve. So this is going to be very useful. So the good thing about this method is so you don't have to be worried about the first stroke, because after your first stroke, you're going to have time to fix the curve, and then you can apply any of the curve brushes of your preferences. So you can start doing the same thing like this and like this. Number 6 2 times, for example, or one time, and now you can grab your curve tube snap and apply, and then you will get much more perfect application of the curve. This is one of my advice of the tips. And then we get a split mask points, and now we have this ornament. And the next question is, and is there a way to restore the uniform thickness if I use inflate but want to revert to the original state? So the answer is yes. I'm gonna change the topology first, because I'm gonna change ZBrush. Let's give me the double, keep in the groups. I don't want to apply any smoothness. Like this. Let's apply some polishing. And now, for example, so the answer is yes if you store first your morph target. You should go to morph target, store the morphology of your mesh at this point. So now you can grab the inflate brush and you can start inflating, for example, this, and this, for example, here. But for example, at any point, as you were answering before, you don't want to be so thickness here. So now grabbing your morph brush, you're going to start coming back to its original state. You can apply, you can make it more carefully. You can reduce the intensity of the brush, and you can start playing this modification more carefully. For example, if your inflation, once you want that the inflation to start from this point and after, you're going to start reducing the thickness here, and now you will get this, and there you go. I think this is what you, for example, if you, I have 2 different polygroups here, but I can reduce this, and now we go from thick to thin. Sorry, from thin to thick, and that's it. And now from this point, you can start and working. And the good thing about, thank you very much, Ivan, for your comment. Glad that you find this useful. For example, this technique is very useful for many kind of things. For example, for many complex hairs. Let me grab this. For example, you can start painting many curves as possible, as necessary. And the good thing about this method is that you are snapping the curves to any surface. For example, you can cross. If you are having this kind of issue, I recommend you to start working with a smaller brush size for getting something more like this. You can start crossing lines, adding a curve here, for example, and now when you grab the curve tubes with a smaller, you can grab something like this. For example, this is very useful. For example, when you want to create braids. Let me turn on the symmetry. Where is the symmetry? My symmetry. Where is my symmetry? Here. No. Where is it? My symmetry is here. Okay. So you can grab this. Zero measure guides. That's it. And you can start. Let's make it. Making things like this. Now you can grab the number 6, small touches, few touches, not small, doesn't matter if they are big or small. I mean, small touches, and now tap on the curve, split mask points, and for example, now you can grab the move topological brush to start creating the knot without the symmetry, of course. You can go. You should go behind, you should go up, no, you should go behind, you should be above, you should be behind, you should be, no, the opposite, you should be like this. And then you're gonna start creating your braids. Double polishing. But okay, you are welcome. And we are done. Maybe next day, next year, and next day I will try again. I will try to be fighting a little bit more here after the streaming with the scale. Let's see if I finally get success with this pattern. Okay, and this is mainly what we did today was complete the head of the snake. We will keep working on this design next year, next streaming. So I wish you Happy New Year for everybody here watching the streaming, for having a good Christmas, and I will wait you here next year with more jewelry with ZBrush. So thank you everybody for being here watching my streaming, and thank you everybody who has been watching my streaming after the streaming. And we will wait you here next year. So take care, everybody, and thank you. Bye.